Y'all ready? Yeah. We'll meet with the Wausau Town Council order. Would you please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance? And our flag is here behind Mr. Waltersham. And we're glad to have Miss Virginia Perkins to offer our invitation, whose mother and daddy both has one time served on this council. Virginia, if you lead us in prayer.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we love you tonight. And we just thank you for your every blessing upon each and every one of us. And Lord, bless our little town and give the fireman wisdom, Lord, and the councilman wisdom tonight, Lord. And just bless us all as a town in working together, Lord. And we'll give you the praise in your name. Amen.
Amen. Salute and pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Miss Virginia. Okay, you have, we all have our agendas and have maybe had the chance to look at it. And is there anything that we'd like to add to or take away from the consent agenda? The financial statements, I do like the
Budget versus expenditures?
the budget versus expenditures.
I'll have the list of accounts.
Yeah.
The smaller accounts.
And then the other thing now that you did that's a little bit different was
That's in my report, yep.
oh, you'll cover that.
I got
You-
the
you-
check
yeah,
register,
that-
the
it's
check
right
register,
here, it's right
yes.
here.
I wanted y'all to see all of this, this is.
Yeah. And when we get to it, tell us what we're looking at, okay? Okay,
Yes,
all right. Okay, anybody have anything to add or delete from the consent agenda? The chair would then entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, a second, any discussion on the motion? How you vote, Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Walksnapp? Yes. Mr. Clark? Yes. Chair votes yes. Okay. Adam's taking a moment to read this. He is on the non-agenda audience. Would you like to go on down?
I can, sure will.
Okay.
Okay, we need a vote tonight. We've already voted to apply for the USDA grant, but due to the fact that we were under the impression that it was a full grant, and there is a match to this grant, a 25% match, and since we don't have the reserves to pay that cash, we need to make a motion to do a loan, to enter into the USDA agreement, but with a 25% city match in the form of a USDA loan. And Mr. Carter has sent the bond issues. These have to be bond issues. He sent those bonds, his part of it, to Miss Mary Gavin and the bond council, because you have to have a local attorney and you have to have bond counsel. And all their paperwork is to them tomorrow. So we will get our paperwork in, but we just need to execute a 75-25 USDA grant loan application, facilities grant loan.
That's pretty good when you're trying to get money from somebody and they loan you the money to get their money. That's not a bad deal.
No, and the interest rate's real good, Jeff said it was the best deal we're gonna get offered probably.
And got to be in everybody's mind, if we're gonna get a loan, you got to pay it back, and we're going to do that how?
With our fire funds from, the fire department pays off their rescue truck this year, which will free up $12,510 a year. This payment will be around $3,800 a year, and with no prepayment if we pay it off before then.
So with the paying off of the truck, we will get enough money to pay this plus about $8,000+ still be in the fire
Yes,
department
right.
that they don't have now.
Correct.
Mr. Smith, does that sound pretty good to you?
I don't know what we're doing. What is it for?
This is the USDA grant. We're having to revote that because it's going to a 75-25% grant now. And to do that, we have to add into the legal fees and the bond legal fees into that, about a $3,800 a year payment.
Yeah. You're paying $12,000 now. you're gonna have that free. 4,000 of it will become a payment, not on the truck, but on this issue, and 8,000 will remain in your budget for reallocation.
Right.
Okay, we've heard the explanation on the loan grant. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion that we move forward on the loan and grant.
We have a motion that we move forward, authorizing the mayor to sign the necessary papers. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? How you vote, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz-Nam?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Okay, you have in your packet a request from Mr. Dwayne Carter to review his water bill. He had a leak, that started out as a very minimal leak. It was just a few dollars or more. Then it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and this last month it's right behind your USDA stuff, right? But his bill usually runs around $55. That's including garbage, his water and garbage. And this month, his water alone is $103.93, plus the garbage is $125.73.
Oh, what, now, let me ask you this, what side of the property, was it the town's fault that occurred?
It was within our box.
In the town's
It
box?
was inside the box. Carol went down there. I did not see a leak. I was out of town that day. And, but that's the piece that come off of it. It was sort of inside the box and sort of outside the box. It's under a gardenia bush down there. Correct, Dwayne? Gardenia?
Well, it's about 4 foot from the bush. I'm trying to find the picture. I think I still have it.
Right after that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Even with the picture, and I've got it blowed up here. Now this is, keep in mind, this is where I dug up. And that's the meter there, Mr. General.
Yeah.
And right there's a connection. And the box, you can see right there between the two connections, you saw it, Billy.
Oh, yeah.
Right here. And the box, each side of the box has like a U in it to go up, to leave room for nothing to be hindered and freedom. And it was sitting, that piece was sitting on the box, and when I dug around and pulled that up, it allowed it to pop on loose, and water started really pouring in, so I had to turn it off real quick. But that's where it was leaking, right in between the two joints. And I know that's kind of to me, maybe gray area, not gray. And I know, if I got to explain to me right, anything from the meter on towards my house was my responsibility.
Right.
But also in the gray area, that's not on my property, and things weren't installed properly because the box wasn't setting. You're supposed to set on, supposed to have something secure under each corner like a brick, and it wasn't. And I'm not here to blame or something, and our fuss with anybody or make a big old deal out of it.
Yeah.
Just said we could go, and Roger Dale and I, I believe, had this conversation. We could go back and forth this way. I just want to bring y'all's attention, since it is so high, and it is kind of right there in the situation it's in, and we could go back and forth either way. I made a suggestion, just basically doing a average for this last month's bill, and let's move forward. If that was okay with the city council, would please y'all as well.
Well, that would sure please me better than just not paying it.
Oh, no, I gotta have water,
We gotta come to a
Yeah.
point that we pay our water bills in the
Yes.
town of Wausau. I mean, I know every situation is different, but that's just a plain fact. You know, you don't, you should be cut off. I mean, that's my opinion, and that's how I vote on it. But I see your point, Dwayne, you know, I mean, you know, they are, you know, every situation is different. I see your point.
And that's all I'm asking, and if y'all
Okay,
choose
well,
to
that's
bless
fine.
me that way, that's great. If not, you know, it's a bill, and it's just gotta be paid, because I gotta
Yeah,
have
well, I
water.
mean, you got a good attitude about it. I
Well,
thank
Lena,
you for that
since, you know,
attitude.
we all live here.
Yeah,
I've lived
we
across
sure
from here
do.
for 40+ years.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You know,
Who, you said it wasn't installed correctly, who hooked it up? We don't hook up
I
the
don't know
private
who's doing
side.
that.
It was, well, they,
Mama said she thought Mr. Middlebrooks did
no.
way back,
Okay.
but I, you know, Mama, not to get on the Mama, but Mama's memory ain't as good as Mama's memory used to be. So, I don't know who.
These meters were hooked back in, they were put where they were originally at. They were hooked back in by our contractors that come in here with our USDA grant that put those meters in.
But it does have blocks and all in it set right now.
I went to the site probably 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago and 2 months ago. I've been twice. I didn't find water in there. I went after David had changed the meter system and things like that. I didn't find water there. Mr. Carter assured me that he had checked it from the meter all the way under the house, crawled under the house, and things like that.
Well, I hadn't dug around, just, I'd seen water there, it's like,
And
well,
and then I'm not sure how the discovery of this happened, but apparently there was a leak there, and then when he lifted it, this fit into a hole like this, and it leaked, and then when he lifted that up, it opened up like this, and without it could leak lots.
honestly, how what led me to dig there was, and y'all can think I'm crazy, but I just kept praying, because I had crawled under that house twice.
Yeah.
And y'all know I'm not a little bitty fella, and I just kept praying, and I just kept feeling in my spirit to go around there and dig up the meter box. And when I dug around and dug it up, I found it, you know.
When Mr. Carter approached me about this, I told him that we had to be careful about precedences. We've said right here, and scolding Margaret for not cutting them off, extending payments, letting bills run up too high, and things like that. I can't say that I'm in favor of averaging or something like that. I could be in favor of a current bill plus something else that it caught up if you're gonna do it all at one time. We all have to address this, and whatever the vote is will be fine with me, but I'm just saying that I'm concerned that Mr. Carter's a former council person, and that we would be seen as a favor or something that we may not do for the next person who's come in here. We've actually had some other people who served on the council and on the fire department and things like that who have run into high bills, and we treated everybody the same way every time. And that was, when we talked, that was my concern.
Well, that's very well stated, you know, I mean.
Just whichever y'all feels right. I mean, we voted y'all to lead us and guide us and direct us, you know, and that's the same oath I took. And it's just, you know, like I said, a thought and proposal, so whatever y'all decide, just.
Mr. Park?
Well, I would be in favor of maybe getting his average bill for the last 6 months. And then before this, before the leak, and then just pay that amount for this one time.
I don't understand that. Pay what amount you're talking about?
He's wanting to reduce it to an average bill for the last 6 months just on the water. The garbage doesn't change, but take the water bill for the last 6 months, divide it by 6, and give him that amount to pay for water this one time.
You were receiving notes from us though all this
Yes,
time.
sir. Yeah, and that's why I was.
So I wouldn't go back
all
6 months, I'd go back to whenever the first note started, because from then, he knew he had a problem.
Okay.
That's about 3 months back.
I don't know how long the leak's been.
It's been about 4 months, hasn't it, Dwayne? 3 or 4 months?
Let's see, it went from 53 to 63, and then 73, and then now 125.
It was just
So about
steadily
3
going
months.
up a little bit each month, the leak was making.
And that's,
And it could have been the roots of
3 months,
the
if they
tree,
goes
you know.
3, that's fine with me. I mean, or if y'all want me to pay the whole bill, I mean, you know, it's not here to fuss, it just,
Well, you got a good attitude, I
He
like
does.
that.
Yeah,
Well-
good spirit about it.
I used to
Good spirit
fuss
about
and
it.
raise
Next
canes,
month,
so it
next
don't do
month,
any
was
good.
somebody in here, and they got one that broke off down yonder, like we had over on Boyd Drive, I believe it was, or something, and run for months and months. And they didn't even know they had a line over there, the
And we
husband.
reduced hers to
Husband put
106, yeah.
it. So, then some was been out of town and they broke and one thing or another. I left mine on all weekend one time and paid 80 something dollars.
I've had a leak one time and paid $130 something.
My concern is that we are able to do for the next person that comes in here, and that we don't treat you any differently than we do anybody else, and you understand that?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
So, what's the pleasure of the council?
Yeah, I'm fine.
He could pay a current bill plus $20 or $30 on this, pay it all off. We could do some kind of averaging. We could certainly don't, this is not a cut your water off deal here, for sure. We're not talking that at all.
No.
No, we're gonna pay whatever y'all decide, I'm just, you know,
I understand.
some circumstances,
And I appreciate
situations.
I appreciate your approach.
Yeah, you come in with the right attitude, in my opinion, that's my opinion.
Well, y'all, some of y'all know me my entire life and knowing I've been a jerk before and knowing that I'm trying to change all of that. Yeah, everybody here probably could attest to that and say hallelujah and amen, and you telling the truth now, preach it, brother, right on.
Okay,
But-
so what, if anything, can we do for Dwayne tonight?
You know, if y'all just want to take the last 3 months since the leak and average it, or if y'all want me to pay the whole bill, I'm fine, it's whichever, it's just a thought.
And we need to do, when does bills come out again? Couple 10 days or so, end of the month?
Yes, in the month.
So we need to do something tonight because he's fixing to have a double bill.
Right, correct, yes.
Yeah. Is the leak fixed now?
Yes, sir. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have no water, because I mean, it broke in too.
This is the only time you anticipate needing,
Yes, sir. And I would pay you, but I left my wallet in my shorts.
I know you got the money, Dwayne, it ain't no.
Well, if I'm not, I go across the street and bark from a neighbor.
he's got the money because last week he offered.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, the plow, the flag.
Oh, I have talked to that lady about that, but we'll talk about that another time.
Another day.
Uh,
Okay. What's the pleasure of the council?
That's a hard one. I mean, you know, most people would, if it leaked, I would have to pay mine, let's put it that way. I mean, that's no joke, so, and, I need some help with the other council.
Listen, there's no pressure here whatsoever. I ain't gonna feel bad at nobody.
We understand that.
Yeah,
You know, so I don't want y'all to
I've
think that at all.
had leaks too, and I've had to pay them, so,
Yeah.
but,
I don't blame you for asking, if you don't blame us for saying no. If you
Grandpa
say-
said the only dumb question was the one not asked.
That's right.
That's true, you know. I say you need to pay your bill, Dwayne, you know what, I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay, well,
I don't know about anybody else, I won't get mad no matter how they do.
no, I'm not either.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Would you consider amending that motion or an amendment to that motion that leaves him an opportunity to pay off this bill
Oh, sure.
over a couple of payments?
Yeah.
Keeping up a regular bill and pay this one off maybe half and half or three.
I could probably, I can give you $100, I would say tonight, but like I said,
No, that's cool, that,
you know, I'm driving around Wausau, I need a license, but the public don't need to hear that.
Could your motion then, Mr. Wilson, could your motion be that he
I
pays the
think
bill?
he'll grace me that far.
But he pays it over the next,
Sure.
you want 2 months or 3 months?
This is just 3 just in case,
Yeah.
but I think 2 months I'll have it because
Keep
the
it up.
next bill probably be a little,
Should be back.
It's gonna have a little bit on it too.
yeah,
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay,
you know.
would you make that your second?
That's fine.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that Mr. Carter pay the bill, but that it be spread over 3 months, and concurrent with his monthly bill for those 3 months. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion.
Next time if I ever get a leak, that's the first place I'm going.
Yeah.
So if you get a leak at Wausau, go to the meter box first.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Thank you guys so much, appreciate it. And
Appreciate your
we already
attitude.
talked
Fix
about
and
that.
vote.
Wayne.
Let's vote. Hey, but Ms. Wade,
Yeah.
Ms. Carter, and Sheriff. We just voted.
When y'all get to talk about the other, I'm gonna get some prices, and I still wanna pay for that.
Okay.
To sign.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank
You
you.
wanna go ahead and work and, go down to Discover Life, request for Dwayne to let them know at the church tonight if we're gonna
Yeah.
give them a letter of support.
Okay, let's do that. Can we go down a couple of files? What's the next
Do you
one?
want me to take
Yeah.
that to them?
No, we won't have it ready tonight.
Just our decision. Just hold on just a minute. We'll let you know.
Okay, well, Pastor Mike told me here tonight, so.
Okay, now, clerk.
Okay, Discover Life Church, this was in the workshop, they have asked for a letter of support to FDOT to support their acquisition of property joining them for, that is, not, going to be fully used by DOT. And they understand that they won't get this property at all until after the road is through here in case they need that property. But they're trying to get a heads up and just put a letter, their letter in, and along with our letter of support, that the town supports their endeavor of expanding the Discover Life Church.
Brother Roger, what we're really anticipating doing is trying to get it started. And if the DOT approves it and y'all can help us with that, is get some of it so we can park. And then later, got some future plans. Get the good Lord Terry's. If you don't Terry, then whoever can do what they're doing to it is what I'm concerned. But that's our plan. I don't know the fulls of all of it, let me rephrase, I don't have the liberty to. And it's not we're trying to hide from nobody.
Y'all remember Ms. Taylor asked there when we tried to expand the parking lot to the lot south. It's between what we either call the Hubert Owens or the D. Owens place and the church. There's probably a 50-foot lot.
There's 3 lots there.
60-foot lot.
Miss Virginia's sister owns the last one right there by
They
the
want to go all the way to
Methodist
the
church.
Methodist church there.
Oh,
Yeah, one we've got to go with Miss Shirley and talk to her about, because she still owns
She
that.
still owns part of it,
But there's 2 lots there in between Miss Shirley's and,
where Miss Dion's
Our
house
church?
is at, and then that vacant property.
they're not very big lots.
okay.
One of them's clear already.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody cut the grass on it the other day, and I was like, well, Frank, if
Don't believe that's
fine.
what they said the other night.
It wasn't.
Because we talked about commercial clogs with well and some things like that.
I think that's what she meant to say, but she came and get sidetracked sometimes.
Okay. So they're wanting everything from the Baptist church up to the fence next to the Methodist church.
Eventually,
Well, that sure made Wausau look better. That church, y'all did good.
well, that's all we want to be a blessing to the community.
Yeah.
Okay, now, if I understand Ms. Taylor and Mr. Carter now, they're wanting us to say something in a letter to the effect that we support their effort and they have been a cooperating partner with the town of Wausau and things like our Easter pageant, our parades and
Halloween.
You know, what
they've been
what we made it look nice.
supporting partner and we don't oppose their I wish I'd understood it better because there has been some talk, and I don't know where it may be now, it's something we need to dig up, but a Dollar General store sitting on that Hubert Owens lot right in there would really be an asset to Wausau. That has been discussed.
Refresh my memory, which one is his?
Well, you call it the brown card or
Right there next to
Where
the
David
church?
Pop used to live.
Where David Pop used to live, where Miss Deo's used to live. Next to the Shirley
Yeah,
house.
okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, just because there's
The
two
one that's
lots.
just been moved.
Yeah, because there's actually two lots there.
Yeah.
And then Shirley's, and then the Methodist church.
The one that's just been moved when it's on that.
Okay, okay. I thought that's what you're talking about, but I wanted to make sure.
Of course, they do a lot of marketing studies. Somebody thought that a dollar store right in the middle of Greenhead, or right in the middle of the sand down there beside the Greenhead would work. And I'm pretty sure if you see the mush, you go by there and it'll be working.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Tell them to come on up to my property right there.
You're so,
Yeah.
Tell them I got some on the back street, I'll let them have, and the water's fish is running good.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council? For the sake of time, we just need to move this. A letter of support to the church that, you need a motion on that?
Yes.
Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion that we draft a letter to DOT endorsing, or to DOT or to the church?
To DOT.
Endorsing the efforts of Discover Life Church in the purchase of the property adjacent to those to be used for parking or other church
Parking.
activities.
Later on.
Okay?
Second, if you need a
We
second.
got it, we need a second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? How you vote, Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfson?
Yes.
Yes. And the chair votes yes as well. We'll have that ready in a few days. You can tell Brother Mac that we agree to it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Y'all have a good evening. Tomorrow night, if you do that, we have a night of worship. Y'all come join us. There'll be 40 people at least baptized.
all right, you want to do me?
Okay,
You want to do Adam? Which one you want to do? Adam, you in a hurry?
Have you had a,
Go ahead. Yeah, I read it. I'm good.
why don't you go ahead and let Adam come before the council members? Okay?
Okay. Since we were in here till 8 o'clock the other night, y'all didn't get to my report, you know? Y'all have the delinquent accounts as of 4/29, and you also have, the customer sheets to show that these have been paid. Since there was some questions that I may not be giving y'all the full report, but I can assure y'all, you've already got the full report. Now, the ones that, still are outstanding,
Yeah, I'll pay mine tomorrow.
I'll pay his tomorrow.
Mine get paid tomorrow.
right after Dwayne's.
Where you at?
Go in there, right there's my report, and then go to the next is the delinquent account.
All right.
Adam will pay his tomorrow.
I had a, but I'll say
Okay.
Okay.
And we still have, two on here that, besides Adam's, that, are still outstanding.
Oh, come on, there's gotta be more than just me.
They are, Adam, but most of them's been in here, you know. But, this number, the first one and the last one are still outstanding, but I can assure you that last one will be in here. And, I can assure y'all that the first one up there will be locked on the 30th by my husband.
That's
So,
it. That's 031.
yeah.
031 will be logged.
The rest of them have been in here. Melissa came today, yeah, all the others have been, you have them in here, except for the one that came today.
531.
Yes,
Okay.
and who's paired RV in? He's like Adam, he just throws it down and forgets it.
109.
Hey,
I do pay them.
yeah, they're in here.
Okay. So age 1 is April's bill.
Right.
Current is May bill.
Current, on this one, this is, I did this a little different this time to not to confuse y'all on that.
Yeah,
The
just
current,
help me.
the current is what was due on April the 29th.
Okay.
That was still outstanding April the 29th for that, for April.
Okay.
Then you got March, and then February. Yeah.
February.
But as you can see, we have none in H3, none in H4, with $10 each paid.
Okay, so the farthest back we have is February, and about $237 outstanding, unless it shows up back here as been paid since.
Yes,
That looks so much better than it has.
it does, yes.
It sure does.
Is there anything we need to know about this? Is there any difficulty that you're having collecting? Or-
No, just a lot of text messages, but I text them. And a lot of them being behind was more than that was, I sent out the reminder notice, but I also have been doing texts also to text them all that what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Okay?
Anybody got a question on the delinquent accounts? That's bullet point number 1,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay, you have in your accounts your budget expenditures for the general funds, for the water department, and for the fire funds. I have not got recreation in there yet, but we did. And you also have in your account every check and every deposit that's been made since 6/1 of 2020, which gives you all of last year's expenditures up to date. These are in the water department is struggling. We've had some extraordinary expenditures. And the reason I give you this is that a lot of this was in Miss Palmer's, and Roger didn't sign a check for 2 years, So y'all had not a lot of clue of what was going in and what was going out, But general funds has funded most everything here this year. They funded all of the insurance payments so far for the League of Cities, our workers' comp and all. And those are going up. They say that our workers' comp settlement is going to hit us very hard come renewal time. There's not a whole lot of companies that's going to touch us with that, except the League, because we've been there so long with that out there. And that's nothing they have control on. That comes from somewhere else. There's a rate calculus for that comes from the national. But I just wanted y'all to look at all this, be aware of this,
And if you have a question about a check, I
highlight it, bring it to me, I'll pull it for you.
and that way everyone will know. When I sign a check, I initial the invoice. It to show that I've seen it, unless one just slips past me, I look at every one of them and initial it.
And Carol does too.
Okay, I would suggest that you do it if you have. I don't know if we talked about that or not, but this will tell you every check that's been written. And we did have a problem 20 years ago, maybe over that now. 25 years with loss of funds with the auditor and subsequent councils to that time. There are some checks and balances. I would not tell you that cash can go missing. We have to trust whoever works in that office, but I do believe that the auditor would raise questions if he thought there was something that was wrong there.
He did at that time.
He did. He helped us find it, didn't he, at that time?
When I came here in February of '97, there hadn't been a bank statement open or anything else for a period of a year or a little more since Diane left. There was in a basket in there. And we had about $10,000 in water funds that's never been collected, But we got all of our state monies back when we filed to go through, because they have to send the state checks back to the clearinghouse, or whatever it is.
And we had some
Cemetery funds,
we had some cemetery funds that were not accounted for. so the cemetery plots were bought, but the deeds or the agreement was not issued or.
The deeds were issued, but the checks were never deposited.
The
We
check.
had all the checks, but, you know, a lot of them said that that was our fault. We should have caught it before then, you know, but we didn't, you know. But anyway, we've been good since then, so.
Okay.
Then the next thing is, you know, the last workshop, we deposited $11,809.34 in utility payments in April, and $16,000 in March. We collected a lot of delinquent accounts in March when the stimulus checks come out. The firehouse grant has expended all but $75,000, and 800, you know, 75,836.06, which is the retainage. They'll bill that out to us. Now, the town is responsible for the AmeriGas, which is $6,183.58. That's the tank and the propane unit. $3,500 for the change order that was the extra that was done by the contractor, which I voted on that, and $1,100 for the remainder of the gas, the grinder plug for the septic system.
The 3,500 is coming out of the fire budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
City will fund some of that out of theirs, you know, and we already discussed the USDA, so that, the only thing I need to vote on tonight is West Florida Electric would like us to pay they'll still send us a paper bill and all, but they would like for us to pay our bills online because the mail is not getting to them. The bills are not getting to us on time, therefore the checks are not getting to them after we sign them and mail them out to them. But I told them that would take a council vote before I could pay those bills online. It would still have the same audit in effect because we'd print out the payment, we'd print out we'd have a copy of the bill and the payment statement to the bill just like we do. And Roger would initial them the next week when he came in. But I do need a motion to be able to pay those online.
Well, I'll make that motion that you can pay them online. That would be better to me. I mean,
That's really helped our church clerk works.
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's really helped her to keep our church accounts current.
I'll second that motion.
Motion is second that we authorize the clerk to do online payments with West Florida Electric. Any discussion on the motion? How you vote, Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. West?
yes.
Chair votes yes.
Okay, that's all right. All right, I think we get.
That's it.
Next is the deferred out line of credits. You have in your packet from Capital City Bank. For interest rate, we would do each loan at a tax-free rate of 3.65% and a $500 loan fee. There will be no other costs associated with the loans. The only other bank we got a quote from was People's South Bank, and they would do up to 50,000 non-revolving lines of credit. These are 12-month non-revolving, but he wanted to make sure y'all knew that they could be renewed at the end of 12 months, the same amount. And it's a tax-free interest rate of 2.6 fixed. Subject to the town of Wausau's legal counsel provide an opinion letter confirm that the borrowing is a bank qualified tax-free borrowing for the town of Wausau, Florida. And collateral is the grant funds themselves, the general obligation of the town. Proposal is subject to People's South satisfactory review of the Wausau, Florida's recent municipal financial audits and current year fiscal budget as approved by the town council. And they appreciate it, but that's on we'll have 250,000 with each of them.
And all those things, as you look at that, they're required over here, the audits and all those things.
They already have them all, but,
Yeah.
Capital City does, we just
They
have
just,
to, yeah.
they just went into a little more detail about all that.
But the $500 loan fee, they don't mention a loan fee in the People's South.
Yeah. And you're looking at,
2.60 to 3.6.
looking at 6,500 so one. Is that right?
Yeah, 3.65 from 2.60, that's pretty good.
No, you're looking at
A
a
point.
point.
Point,
You're looking at
Yeah.
a point difference,
yeah. 2.60 fixed. Which we pay interest only each month for 3 years, and because these FERDAP grants, they're park grants, we have to completely finish that project before we can get money back from the state to pay the bank back. And we have 3 years to finish, and that's why we're extending this loan out for 3 years, because we don't have the manpower to just go in there and do it, you know?
Pay the interest, then when we get the money back, we pay the principal.
Yeah. It actually costs the town the interest rate each month to get these loans.
So we're 1.05% less
At people's.
per month, the interest payments at People South than we are. What is the pleasure?
I'll make a motion to go with People's Bank.
And we have-
6%.
We have a motion that we take the proposal from People South at 2.6%. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? How about Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. West? Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
All right. Y'all are supposed to, talk about the maintenance position tonight. You have in your packet a letter from, our former maintenance David. Please accept this as my request to withdraw my resignation from my position as maintenance with the town of Wausau. I would like you to consider reinstating me to my position for 20 hours per week. I feel with my knowledge and experience, I can perform the elements of the position in this amount of time. Let me bring you all up to speed to this. Roger asked me to call Mr. Carter and see if we could do anything with this. Mr. Carter's advice is we can't do anything with this request because we have advertised and interviewed. We could either hire somebody that we interviewed, or we can re-advertise the position in which Mr. Ferguson would be more than welcome to apply. But as far as just, but since we've already accepted his resignation in a formal meeting, he said we'll be getting into some real dark gray area if we try that. Especially with the other candidates already being interviewed.
So you would re-advertise it with a 20-hour,
We will re-advertise the position. That would be if y'all hours were, you know. But Mr. Carter said about the only thing we can do now is to re-advertise. If we're not, first we'd have to reject all the applicants that we have interviewed, and they could keep their application for next time, and then re-advertise. But
Yeah.
we have to make some sort of decision.
Then the applicants that applied the first time can reapply when we re-advertise.
Yes, they can, or they can ask us to just pull their application back.
Mr. Ferguson called me today, and he said he talked to 2 or 3 of the council persons, and he didn't say who by name. So if any of you will know, if he talked to you, you'll know whether what I'm going to tell you aligns with what you told him. He said he talked to 2 or 3 of the council, and they didn't have a problem with it or thought it was all right or something like that. He also told me that Margaret had asked him on a couple of occasions to come down and come back or some things like that.
I had up to the day he resigned, I asked him to stay.
Previous to his resignation, even that same week, I talked to him over the last couple of weeks, and even into the week of his resignation, and asked him to really consider it carefully if this was what he needed to do or wanted to do. And he assured me that he didn't see any other thing for him to do at this point in time. He said today the reason he wanted to come back at the 20 hour is because of his Social Security. It would allow him to work and not affect his Social Security. If you'll recall, over the last, I'll say 5 years, but since most of you have been here 1 or 2 years, we've talked about 2 positions all along. And we never thought that we needed 2 positions. Now, we're advertised for a 32-hour-a-week position, and we're considering another 20-hour week position. And for our words and actions to bear witness one with another, we need to be consistent. Now, we either have enough work for one person, 40 hours, 32 hours, whatever it is, or we don't. Or we either have enough work for 2 people, or we don't. But it can't be both ways.
Well,
Mr. Ferguson, in my opinion, made up his mind to resign. And I think I'm not the only one that asked him to reconsider, but he assured us, I believe,
Yeah, I did.
last minute that you would
Yeah.
aware about that.
And I think Elliot asked him to reconsider.
And we asked, and I think that 2 people who went through the application and interview process, one or the other of them thinks they're going to be voted on tonight, because I think they left here from a workshop thinking that that's where our decision was. We were going to come back and hire somebody tonight. If in fact we do, and we do need a second position, and we do need 20 hours, then I think, like Mr. Carter did, that we need to re-advertise, specify, do interviews, and Mr. Ferguson could apply at that time, as could anyone else, and go through the process. I don't think just because he's changed his mind, I mean, we asked him, please make up your mind, please be sure. And 2 weeks later, he wants to withdraw. But that resignation can't be withdrawn, we've already accepted it. He could have withdrawn it at the time we voted on it, but once we voted on it, his resignation was accepted. So, and I don't think anybody maybe doesn't recognize his ability and what he did, or what I think he was capable of doing. But I don't know when you drove up this afternoon, if you looked at the differences around this building.
yeah.
And then I think about being said, well, they ain't nothing to do, it's all we're doing. I just,
My opinion, when we done the interviews, we basically talked about 32 hours. And like you said, one of them left the other night thinking that we was gonna make the decision for one of them to have a job tonight. I don't ever remember, now there may have been, but I don't ever remember that there's ever been 2 workers for the city. Or have they?
Well, we had NCBA employee
Yeah.
outside, was really good, you know. There's a lot of situations that we're in here that we do need 2 people at times, you know, but it's seasonal, you know, or when we have a break, you know. But our affordable act monies, you know, those can be used to hire a position if we need one, you know. Some of those funds can, and they can, for infrastructure and employees, you know.
and it may be seasonal, but there's either been times that we needed 2 people, or we needed one to do more than what they were doing.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, I sure ain't gonna beg nobody to work now, you know. If they make up their mind, and David was good, I have to say, to me, I mean, that's my personal,
Yeah.
that's my personal.
Oh, he's very good.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I don't just see enough work for two people, I just don't. That's my opinion now, I mean, but anybody, I go along with anything, but
I think-
you know more about it than I do, but I don't see a lot of work for
Well,
too hard.
not
to-
since we-
Everything that was done in like 2 days, just around the city hall, by 2 people that worked together, they got a lot accomplished.
Yeah.
I think we need to, maybe Mr. Walksnail, I think you're on a good trail there, up to all of us, I think you're on the right track. I think we need to have some kind of evaluation process, and for 6 months probation, this is evaluate a person. And I think we ought to maybe at one of our next workshops or something, or maybe our next workshop, maybe we ought to have some goals. We asked the interviewees the other night about their qualifications and their skills and what they could do and some things like that, but we didn't tell them, I expect you to do this or to do that or something else. I think we depend lots on them being able to come in and see, just like the front here, just like the front of the building, just like lots of things. I don't know how you walk in and out. It's like when I worked for the county, see, we went every time it rained to the same place and fixed the same hole until they got to where that was a standard operating procedure. Instead of fixing the hole, we just go there and throw some more dirt in it after the rain. We drove around a limb hanging over. We just drove around till we actually moved the course of the road around the limb rather than pulling the limb back. So we just look at it so often every day until it gets to be in the norm.
And if we could keep them on 1 6 months after 1 6 months, you know, everybody has been just jammed up during that first 6 months, you know. You couldn't ask for better employees.
Yeah. So, well, the lawyer told us what to do, right?
He said you can either hire somebody from the ones we interviewed, or you can reject those applications and re-advertise.
Well, neither one of them could operate a backhoe, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I feel like the one could learn, you know,
The one could learn.
but you gotta learn somewhere
And
else besides on the water line.
You know, again, we talked about this before. David said, I'll help y'all, you can call me in. And I wouldn't expect to do it without paying him, without compensating him. But he may be somebody that when we need a second person like that to come. But my opinion, again, would be if we do him for 20 hours or a second full-time position, that with his leaving, whoever we hire tonight now becomes our maintenance man, and he don't work for that guy. That guy who comes back or somebody else comes on, he works for the one that we hire. That would be my opinion. And I'm like you, there's three more opinions.
Yeah, I ain't the only one.
to be had.
I don't mind stating my opinion,
No.
but I ain't gonna get mad at nobody that states theirs. I mean, you know.
You did a good job. What can we do, and did Mr. Carter say anything about how we can discuss this? Can we bounce back and forth between the two things because they're connected? Because I'm wondering, maybe we ought to dispose of the things we did in the workshop. Let's make a decision on that.
And then make a decision on this,
We
on
can
the
address this. I
letter.
don't think we need to address this before we address
No.
what we did in the workshop. Because he's right now gone, and all we have is a letter asking for an opportunity to come back. So I think we need to deal with what our open case is an advertisement for a maintenance position. I think that's probably what we need to settle first.
And we run it, you know, at one stop, but also the Washington County News did a real good article on it, and Mr. Paul did a real good
Yeah.
promoting that we needed somebody here, you know, so it didn't just advertise at one stop.
And if you haven't seen it, here's a uncompensated endorsement. I didn't know this was recording, but I did find it, and I went to it, and it was a very good job at our workshop. I think this was a very good job. Has everybody seen the video? Yeah, it was a very good job, Paul.
I'm thinking of doing it for a living.
Thank you. Okay, so back to the agenda, what do we need to do on our maintenance position? We have two applications.
We have Mr. Williams
Zach,
and Zach, Mr. Zach. I don't think, to be truthfully, Mr. Zach is not interested in our position.
I don't think he is.
After he was here, he's not interested.
And I think Mr. Williams probably has enough experience and settled enough that those things that he doesn't know, he could learn. Mr. Register will be here to help him learn the water stuff, the things he needs to do about water, and actually has to be here when we're working on the site itself, so he can help him
And
there.
until he learns the backhoe, we'll call somebody in to run that backhoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fire department's been very good to help us. They've got people, and I'm sure we can get some help through them. But he, Mr. Williams, being somebody that can do lawn maintenance, even some of that equipment, all that, there's some certain certain elements for it that probably spills over. I know running a lawnmower is not running a motor grader, but there's some elements of equipment and things like that that would be similar. I think he could learn it, like that. So what's the pleasure of council?
I make a motion to hire Mr. Williams.
Okay?
Is
We have-
was that who it was?
Yeah,
Yep.
32 or 40 hours.
Yeah, let's talk about the 32 and 40. I know the cemetery was a constant, it was popping up all the time because you sometimes have to fall in between. We've done something with that. Was that big enough an issue to cut a salary, to cut a day's work out? Are we saying that the only thing that our maintenance person does is mow rights of way in cemeteries?
And parks, but we contracted the parks went under Steve.
And the parks, yeah.
Parks is a big deal. George Rogers and Possum Palace is a big deal.
Does it take 2 days, 3 days? Will it take a day?
It will take one person a full solid day, 10 hours to do that cemetery. And it will take one person about 4 days to do both parks.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a whole
So you're looking at a week.
week's worth of work taken away from the maintenance position.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good.
Yeah.
You take a week a month out of. The rest of it is installing meters.
We don't have a
leaks
lot of
and
meters,
breaks.
yeah, we don't have a lot of leaks, we don't have a lot of breaks. When we do, they're bad, but,
Yeah.
we got a couple of meters now that's fixing to come out to be installed.
Has any of now I know like Adam, he could use a backhoe, David could, but things like electrical, carpentry, plumbing, things like that, do we do a lot of that with our maintenance people? If it's electrical, do we get an electrician to come in?
Unless it's just changing a switch or something like that, an outlet or a switch, we get,
A license.
we got one on call.
Yeah. And I like to think that there's gonna be more things done on our roads too. The mowing the right of way is one thing, but when you got grass that's growed out like this, somebody needs to get out there and scoop that grass off.
And potholes.
And potholes.
Yeah, now, I wanted to mention that before I leave, but.
Please.
Okay, we need to do something about them potholes.
Washington County's supposed to be coming in and patching for me when they're back in, they make rounds. You know, when they come back into our district here, they're gonna patch our potholes.
I did talk to Margaret about that,
Somebody came down Fence Circle the other day and
day.
patched Fence Circle.
I was at the post office yesterday and they didn't ask me about my peas or my squash or my garden or anything. The first thing they said is, y'all need to do something about them potholes.
Yeah.
But I've also got, Anderson Columbia brought us 2 more loads of meal today, and a load of topsoil for our possum pond. And, I've taught Michael Owens, Smiley, while he's planting trees, he's gonna spread my dirt and patch those potholes on Second Avenue with our mill that we got right up there now. And that won't hold much unless they come put that tack on it,
Yeah,
but we'll get them a little bit,
that's our problem. And you know what I did on my driveway at home? You can go to Tractor Supply, not Tractor Supply, Rural King, get a 5-gallon bucket. It reminds you a lot of the old black cool seal that you used to go on mobile home tops and like that. You can get it for driveways. I took it on my driveway and just kind of poured it down or dipped it and poured it out, threw the rocks in on top of it. We may invest in a few 5-gallon buckets of tar. That's basically what it is, and it's not tagged, but If
You
it's
can buy,
saved-
you can buy a coal patch.
Sir,
You can buy a coal patch. And
We
Like-
used to take the backhoe down to the
That's-
county and
that's the
get
easiest
a load of coal patch, quite a bit, Because they stock it and then we just paid them for it or give it out in ice or something like
And
that.
that's the mud hill where you
Yeah,
get that.
we barter and trade.
but I think that's one of the things we've got to look at, our losses. We got to maintain our assets. That budget, we may all be grandma and grandpa before we get enough to pave another road unless something, grants or some things like that, but we've got to maintain our assets and we need to cut that grass back to the rights of way, to the edge of the pavement or something like that. We're just about everything we've got now is one lane road. Okay, we have a motion to hire Mr. Williams as our maintenance person. Is there a second to that motion?
For how many hours?
Oh, that's all.
That's what was on,
32?
32?
32.
32?
That sounds correct.
That we hire Mr. Williams for 32 hours. That's your motion.
That's my motion.
6 months probation, the whole routine thing that we do. Is there a second?
And we had one beginning June 1.
Yeah, he'll have to do his physicals.
And you have to do physical, we don't want to pay any employee a holiday right off the bat there.
Okay, is there a second that we hire Mr. Williams starting June 1, 32 hours?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? How you vote, Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Fortunato?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Okay, do we maybe, if he starts on June the 1st, we'll be, the third Thursday, we'll be back in here, that'll give him a couple weeks on the job, not in a workshop or in a meeting. Could we have him in after the first 2 weeks? And just,
See if he
there's no
wants to
need,
stay.
there's no need to wait 3 months, 4 months, 5 months if it doesn't move out things that's working. If we have some of this, could we have him back like in our next regular meeting and just do a 3-minute, 5-minute recap? By then, if he's got questions, he won't be found.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everyone? When you sign it, would you ask him?
I will.
Okay. All right, now then, do we come back to the letter from Mr. Ferguson? Do we do anything about that, or do we let it sit for a while till we see how the new person does, if one person can do the job, or any of us convinced that we need 2 people?
I say let it sit until we see if one person can do 32 hours.
The only thing I think we have to close the door on is him withdrawing the resignation. That's already taken care of itself.
Yeah.
We're not closing the door on him applying at some future time
No.
for a part-time position. Do we all agree on that?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Madam Clerk,
I think I'm good.
you think you're finished? Okay.
I have something that's left me now, so don't worry about it.
Hey, did you say we're closing the door on the part-time position? We don't leave that open.
We're just tabling it to a future meeting,
Yeah,
so we see how the maintenance man does, that we kind of hired.
That's fine.
yeah. All right, Mr. Park, you got anything for us tonight?
Just,
I'm sorry.
No, okay, all right.
Adam,
Adam, we leaving Adam.
I asked him to come down.
hey, we're gonna, go home.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I asked Adam to come, and does everybody have what he's fixing to talk about?
No, they don't.
I got an email from the Florida League of Mayors, and there's a grant. I handed it to him a while ago, so I'll let him tell you much about it. There's a grant through the Florida League of Mayors, and I know that, I'm not sure, it says it's for municipal purposes.
Sure.
We just got the application today. It's a quick turnaround kind of a thing. I don't know.
Basically,
Tell us what you think. Is there something there, some of this monies that we was looking for the workshop that night for matches or whatever for the, or finishing some things in the fire
Well,
department?
this is-
Anything there that you think?
this grant is for a maximum budget of $1,500. $1,500. Okay. There's a possibility. It gives a sample that somebody used they had a project for municipal use, and they used it for 5 yards of concrete to do a sidewalk in a certain area for a certain town. And that's just a sample. Yeah, we can apply for that and apply toward it. I mean, that'll do a little.
Yeah.
But still keeps us very far from our goal.
Yeah. It does, and I'm thinking $1,500, will that fix the end of our driveway?
And that's what I was wondering. You may be able to use this for a different project. $1,500 go a long way for something
Patch.
yeah, patching or something like that y'all could use here that would benefit the people.
If that's to pour concrete sidewalk, I wonder would it buy tag for potholes?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you saying it's going to patch roads,
Tag is where the way the potholes are that we're dealing with is going to be, we'll put it in there and traffic will beat it out in a few days to a few weeks.
but with $1,500, you can buy real asphalt and bring it in and patch. You know, or you can get the county to come in and pay it and patch it, and maybe reimburse them with this money. I don't know. This gives you an opportunity for a small project.
Did you look at that application?
I did.
Is it difficult to fill out?
No, it's real simple.
Is it something you can do by the deadline?
Yes.
Okay, I asked you to come because I was trying to look out for the fire department. I think I'm hearing you say thank you, but
No, I mean, I just
if you
understand.
have something that $1,500 to do, I'd like to see it go there because we're so short over here. But
Sure.
if it's not something we can just sit and hold the money to get some more to go with it, if you've got to use it right away, you're saying that the city might use it someplace else.
Yeah, it'd probably be more beneficial somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah. But I am on the agenda for for another reason.
Yeah, he was on for another.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Well, while you're talking, you want to just keep on?
Sure.
Okay. Then we're going to do something with this and not fire department.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to help with that grant if y'all need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, go ahead with your other.
Okay. We are significantly out of money on that building. All right, so basically we got $1 million building over there that wouldn't be feasible to use at this point in time without something on that floor. We all know that. So I'm here to propose that, being we do have an additional $8,000 that's on our budget that could be used temporarily, that we take out a short-term loan to cover the flooring, and that'll go ahead and get that going. Coming out of our fire budget. I've talked with Sam's talked with Mark, and we all agree that this is feasible, okay? And then later on, if something like the CARES Act money comes in, we can beg to use a small portion of that money to repay that loan, and that would cover and get that $1 million building usable. So that's what I'm here to ask. Can we go after this loan? Can we pursue and get this going? Because at this point in time, we got a $1 million building that's going to sit there and get looked at by a lot of people, and a lot of people's going to wonder why it's not being used. It would be a disaster for us to move into that building right now. We got this other grant that y'all voted on tonight that will come in the next. She basically said 90 days.
Yeah, there's already in the works, and we don't have to go to the clearinghouse, so it'll be a little quicker.
So if we can get this loan, we can go ahead and get the flooring in. Once that grant's approved, all that building comes together within weeks, and we have a brand new fire department. So I'm here to ask.
I talked to Chief Druid about, or he talked to me during the day of the walk around about putting something out there, identify us, and that'd be a good thing. I got congratulated on our new city hall a few days ago. I appreciate the congratulations, but that's actually a fire department.
Well, no, it's not. It's
City
not.
Hall is 70 years old.
And that's where sure, it is a fire department, but it also is
Yeah.
the town's fire
Yeah.
department. This belongs to you.
Sure.
This
Yeah.
council, this belongs to the people.
How much are you talking about on the lawn? How much is it?
The total's right at $20,000.
Wow.
But it sounds like
Is
a
that
lot,
one-
but
is
then
that
whenever you
one
think
now?
about our payment, if on between a 3 to 5 year loan would only be at a 5 years is $396 at 4% interest.
We get better, we got our lawnmowers
And-
for $17,000 and we pay, $336, for
About
4 years.
$350, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around 350.
As far as the loan, we have the money.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, you're talking about more than the floor. You started out talking about the floor, but now 20,000.
That finishes the whole.
You're not talking about $20,000 for the floor.
The flooring in total is $20,000.
Between 17 and 20.
How much is the flooring?
Just the flooring is what it is.
That's the flooring.
That is just the floor.
That's the flooring.
$20,000?
But that epoxies the whole, all the bays and everything and makes,
Wow.
and then I'm gonna get a better deal. I can get a better deal and bring that down on the office. I don't agree with that. That guy did mine and he gave me a way better deal than what he's given the city and the town, and I didn't agree with it. We will now as far as the 10,000, that worth, that's as cheap as you're gonna get it.
Have you checked with
But it's totally worth,
JD over there for the,
that's who I'm going to next.
oh, he gives us a good deal.
That's my cousin. I'll
I know
take
he
care of
gives
that.
us a good deal.
Yeah. So let me.
But JD doesn't do epoxy. This is
No,
that.
this-
Epoxy's a
I'm
whole
talking
different
about-
story.
yeah.
That's got to be done by a
So
professional.
let me say back what I think you said, so I understand it. You're asking that we borrow the money to do that, and we're talking about the $12,000 that when you make your last payment is going to be freed up, and we just obligated
Okay.
4,000 plus or minus a while ago.
Yeah.
So you're saying $8,000. And
Down the road, when the CARES Act comes in, I'm gonna beg y'all to
And then
help us
the
cover
money-
some of
that's
this.
well,
That's what
so
JD got for us.
we always live, the fire department in particular, because years ago, before the county started doing the formula to fund it, we was putting about $5 to 1 into the fire department budget. Now we're putting $0 to 32,000 in the fire department budget.
Right.
We're running our fire department on county funds. There's no city funds in
Right.
that. So my concern is, always living on the edge and living on that fixed budget, is we borrowed money to pay off the truck you're doing. How long will it be before we have to have another truck or something else? Are we going, that could become a cushion to us, and I know this is important, it's got to be
Sure.
done. I'm just trying to
Well-
see where are we gonna be a year from now and something.
Well, a year from now, you're gonna be $100,000 richer with the CARES Act, correct?
Well, if it comes in like the,
With the stimulus, the whole.
yeah.
I mean, we're only asking for a small portion of $100,000. I mean, seriously. But you think of it on different terms. You
That's
think
what
about,
I'm
I mean, would you want a $1 million sitting there on
Yeah.
a small request for 20 grand? I mean,
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
I do. You make a good case.
And we had the webinar the other day on the COVID monies that are coming in, and you can use that money for infrastructure. You can use it to supplement your budget for budget shortfalls that you've had during the pandemic. And, you can use it for your employees.
Now, we've got two sets of monies coming though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't count on that first set of CARES money,
Well, see, that's why he's asking about is the CARES.
Well, he's talking about the affordable that's just coming out, the 167,000 that we're supposed to get,
Okay.
But
But even if that money doesn't come, our budget will still cover that loan. So why would we?
I think it will too, but I don't know what operation costs are going to be either. And if we
Well, we understand that, and I mean, but believe me, we're gonna, once we get the CO on that building, all them lights, you're not gonna see all that.
yeah.
You know, I mean, we're gonna, we have, you can, even Margaret complimented on us as far as how we're managing our money.
Yeah, their
nowadays.
account's running with about $20,000 in it right now.
See?
But now they got a pump coming in, you know, eventually we hope,
Yeah.
and their payment, you know, so.
Okay, so if you and he and Sam have talked, what? Because when it comes time and we're at a meeting, I'm going to look over and say, what happened? What happened on that? We will be able to take that.
I want to say Adam is not watching Sam close enough, you know, because you have to watch Sam really close.
I can't help what you and Sam.
I don't even call Sam no more, I call Adam. I put Sam out of the loop.
I understand you see who's here tonight.
Yeah, but I put Sam out of the loop.
Oh.
He likes to spend too much.
Yeah. So from the council, from this side of the table, what do we respond? What's your?
I think we need to finish that $20 million building over there.
Where are you saying we want to take money from?
People's salary.
If we all give up our salary, it wouldn't quite come to that.
No.
Not
No, you
quite.
couldn't eat out too many times.
So
One time.
I think we all agree that we need to finish it. Now it's how do we go about doing it? My daddy always told me you can't borrow yourself out of debt.
At this point in time, we're in good shape. And
And
we will
you
continue
only
to.
have 4 months left in this budget year.
Right.
So you should have a cash carry forward, and we we don't, that don't go back into the budget. Anything that's left in the fire department budget goes forward in that budget, plus the new allocation.
Yeah.
So you're looking at cash. carry forward.
Country Oaks is sitting on a whole lot of money just for that same reason,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, but
So are we talking about separate loan and we have to go through the whole loan process and everything again? Or are we
Yes, sir.
talking about adding money to this loan that we approved a while ago?
No, that has to be separate. Those are state-funded grants right there. They gotta be separate.
Okay.
And we can go out to the banks, and I can talk to Mr. Wall, and I can talk to Mr. Jim at Capital City, and tell them what we want to do, you know? And, but it'll take another, you know, of course, we're not gonna get the USDA grant to be able to put those appliances in and all the tables in and all that before next month, but it would have to come back at next month and vote on the interest rates that we get for our proposal. you know.
Is this second money that he's talking about now, is it also under the CARES Act?
No, it's what is it called? Portable, I don't know what, it's separate monies.
Okay, the CARES Act, that we're feeling less and less.
That we don't get it, yeah.
yeah,
And
you're not really cared for right now.
I know that Mr. Manson's still here 2 months ago and was going to get right back to us about where our share of that was.
And I've emailed him and talked to
And I know that
Mr.
Vernon has already got theirs, I just,
They're still fighting for some.
do we have a senator or representative or something, somewhere that can shake a bush or?
The Senator Gainer's office is supposed to be shaking a bush. But I haven't known from, but I will check with them.
Would you please follow up with that? Okay. So we're talking about separate grant.
Separate loan.
Separate loan to complete
In the amount of
everything,
$20,000.
or just the floor. We're gonna still be short.
Right now, it's 20, no, it's.
No, we've got everything else
We're
covered.
done. That would be done.
Okay.
Turnkey over.
Furnishing.
At this point in time, it's $20,045. But like I said, I don't agree with the one
Understand.
bid I got for just the offices. He wanted like $7,000.
What about furniture, that gonna come up?
That's in the USDA grant, all of our furniture, smart boards,
Yes.
everything in that.
That is.
TV for training, everything.
That's not.
I'd certainly be interested in us having a real look at what money we need, the interest rate and the payment back. I would much rather us, if we can make the payment, not affect the operations, I'd rather see us go ahead and get that building finished, and we need to get some ribbon cuts and things like that going on.
We're hoping
We
by
need,
maybe October.
we need to get our stuff out of here and across the street. And I'm not opposed to us borrowing the money as long as we have an identified source to pay it back. And if it's all right with the council, I wouldn't be opposed for us to have a special meeting on this.
I was fixing to ask that.
Then wait a month.
Right.
If Margaret can get us some,
Proposals?
interest rates and things like that, how quick do you think you can come up, make that $15,000 instead of 20?
I'll do my best.
Yeah, how quick do you think you can do that?
Maybe this week.
Just kind of email it to me?
Yeah, as soon as you know, kind of bottom line, so she'll know what to ask for. If she can get that in the next 10 days, 2 weeks, could we come back for a special meeting? It'll be one of those 15-minute meetings, I know, but it moves the ball by a month. You ain't never seen a 15-minute meeting.
As John said, we got to figure that next
Yeah, we could come back.
You took your shoes off.
Here,
No, we got one.
could I stay home at night like Carol?
Carol, hopefully,
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Yeah. Can we do what we just discussed? And you will go back and get us some good prices and get them working as quick as possible.
I'll do my best, yes.
You will get us the information on, and
Once
I
he gets that
don't know now,
business
you know, at one time in contracting, and I don't know that this is contracting, but in contracting, like you have a contract and you want to extend that by the same prices, you didn't have to go back. If he would extend this by the same price,
And if I can find somebody who'll put that epoxy in cheaper, I'll do that too.
yeah, that's what, yeah, we
Yeah.
want you to do that. But if he will extend this to another loan, can we do that?
I'm sure they will, and I know Capital City would do our, because we got the lawnmowers with Capital City, you know, we could
Yeah.
just tag this on to that, you know, that.
Yeah.
But I'll check with both of them.
Yeah, check with them and see, can we, that's pretty good interest rate. Okay?
But even if we get the big grant, I don't think we can put in this generator because the flooring's not there. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to push to do this first and
Yeah.
get it over with.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a good salesman.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I thought about putting in a car lot down here. But
So we're just gonna table this till after get some quotes back?
Can we do that? Can we table this and then, subject to a special meeting or something till, okay. Does the Salvation Army know where you live? I believe you can stand out there and people that just poured in, but it's.
Well, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you for what y'all are doing.
Before you do that, can I bring
all
up
your
one more
departments.
thing? No, not you, Adam.
Oh, okay.
It's all on the rest thing. I forgot one thing. I sent an email this week that I copied to Roger because I had talked with Mr. Kevin Parker with Wheeler about the unpaved roads here in Wausau. He told me that there were no, and they're going to pave and replace culverts and everything else on every dirt road in Washington County. And my email to him was, because he said we had no damage in Wausau from Michael on our roads. Well, a heavy deal damaged Coral Lane and Lloyd Drive, you know. So I sent him a email and to copied Roger and copied Kevin Parker on it, that we did not understand how we had no roads damaged in Michael if they were going to pave Finch Circle, which joins our road, and Hagen Road, you know, that's within the city limits of Wausau, that, you know. So I have not heard back from any of them as of yet. So I just think we're not on that matrix to get anything paid because they say, you know, and Wheeler was in here, Washington County was in here, Washington County does our maintenance. They assured us that our roads would be turned in along with any county roads. And I think Roger was in some of those meetings with Wheeler.
And our Hagen Road, the road in front of my house, was badly damaged. Part of it from the top of the hill wound up down underneath the 77. And because it's that dividing line and it goes out of the county takes care of that for the most part. And we've been told when we got a flag in the yard that road may be on a matrix to be paid.
It is, all of them are the
sometime
same.
in the future. And I will promise you, as bad as I thought it was messed up, it's not messed up as bad as the ones across 77, Owen, and that way, so,
Especially what is very bad.
yeah. Okay,
But I have made contact with them, or we may need to get them down here, we may need to see, have a meeting with them to see where we're at with this.
Mr. Joyner, whose district is on that side, and Mr. Bush is on this side, also is divided between two commissioners. Mr. Joyner is going through his treatments and things like that. I talked to him yesterday by text a little bit, just kind of, how you doing, thinking about you, sort of stuff, no business. But I'm going to talk to Mr. Bush and see where he is on that, see can he help us in an interview that might know Mr. Bush, Mr. Hall, any of our board that might influence that would make Mr. Massey contact some of our other municipalities. One of the ways that they get things done is they're showing up at those meetings and asking for stuff and all like that. Jim Marsh was the city administrator in Chipley. He knew, he was like Adam, he knew how to get it. Okay, anything?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Park, anything from you?
No.
Okay, Mr. Walksnail,
No.
Ms. West,
Not tonight.
and the chair has nothing.
Hello?
Had something,
Look at
but,
Paul.
had something, but forgot what it was. If I don't write it down, I'm prone to do that. Anything from the audience? Steve, the building looks good, the cemetery looks good.
That's my wife, man.
Tell your wife they did a good job. Just in parting, we need to, we got a building over here, we don't need to let it run down. We got a lot of things over the next 2 years. We're gonna be a busy council, I think, but that's good.
Y'all may want to increase our pay, okay?
Shoot.
No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.